Hi, everyone. This podcast is going to be very short. Um, just a couple of odds and ends here that I want to do, which is first off is I've officially reached 100 subscribers. And for that, I want to thank all of you for that. I appreciate the love and it means a lot to me. Um, it's 100 free subscribers and not paid, but it still counts. That means that you like what I say, what I have to say on my podcast. You like what you read whenever I type things out, whenever I write things. So I just want to say 100 subscribers, that is a milestone. And I never imagined that I would end up with 100 subscribers, but who knows? We're growing. And I mentioned this because a lot of people, a lot of the substitute accounts now, you have people who left CNN, people like Jim Acosta, um, you know, people like Joy Reid and others, people who are becoming independent journalists by opening up their own Substack accounts and doing their own news shows here. Don Lemon is another one of that. Glenn Kirshner, who left MSNBC due to this, and it's important. And the Substack platform is really important because it's the one place that the Trump administration cannot touch. They may attack it, they may try to shut it down, but it's independent journalism, and independent journalism is something that's actually way more important than media journalism because it's a safe environment and it's run independently by people like you and me, where we control it, and we are funded by people like you. Even though I'm not paid yet, but but it's a but pay it or free. Using Substack as our platform is another part of the First Amendment rights, and we can speak freely without being under a corporate umbrella or being attacked by the government because they don't like what we have to say about them. And now more than ever, it's important that our voices be heard, even if it's not about politics. If it's just about movies or books or self-help or even your own personal stories, being on Substack is something that's very, very important. And I'm glad that I found this, even if I found it by accident. And honestly, I don't even remember how I found it. But to 100 subscribers, I thank you, and I hope I can continue to grow, getting more subscribers to the point where I can build my own platform from the ground up, where I can start, you know, getting paid subscriptions and having exclusives to those that do pay, and things that I don't do now because it's just a free. But hopefully, with your help, I can get more subscribers and paid subscribers and turn this into something special that you can help grow and be a part of. So that's what I wanted to really say to start off, to say thank you to every single person, and I have appreciated it. Um, the second thing I want to talk about is the update on my liver recovery. Over at Aaron Parnas's website, he always says on Sundays, drop something good. And so today I decided to put in my comments that my good news is that I was giving you a journey about my liver fatty disease here on my own Substack. And I have an update for you that I can officially say that my blood tests came back a month later, and it's gone. Now, I can't tell you officially with certainty that the reversal is gone until I actually do an ultrasound slash sonogram. But my blood level is in the green. It's actually lower than what it was a month ago, because a month ago it was like 48 when it's supposed to be 46, and now it's way lower than that. And I've lost 8 pounds. And I know this because my weight went from 173 to 165. So that's a good improvement. And my blood pressure actually went down a lot. The only thing that's a little bit is my BPM, which is still good, but on the cusp of being overweight. So that's something that I have to deal with. But I'm happy to say that as far as the blood tests are concerned, my hard work paid off. and everything is back to normal. And I have to tell you that I want to encourage everybody out there to actually go for those blood tests. You have people, you have Maha that's saying that everything here is no good, that we don't have to do vaccines, no shots, no nothing, and all this and that. But, you know, RFK Jr. isn't a doctor. He doesn't have his medical degree, and he has no idea what he's talking about. And everybody needs to use their own judgment. And you know what? I've become a better person because of this, because I've learned more about myself, and I've learned that I can have willpower. Because I have Mike and Ike's sitting on my desk, like a 1.8 pound bag of Mike and Ike's, and I used to snack on them every night while I'm watching TV. And it's been so hard to resist. It's been so hard to go for it, and I've been resisting it. Um, and soda, I've been resisting that. And I've had this willpower, and you know what? Nobody really thought I could do this. Even my friend who tried to tempt me at meals that we were eating at, he tried to tempt me and saying by putting, gummy bears in front of me or candy, and he didn't think I can do it. And I should have made a bet on this. But I'm happy to say that I had the willpower, and because when you put cake in front of me, I'm the first person to go for that piece of cake, and it was very hard for me not to touch that piece of cake. So I'm happy to say that you know anybody can do this if you put your mind to it, and when you value your health more than anything. And if people don't think you can do it, it doesn't matter what people think. It's what do you believe? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe you can do it? Um, so yeah. So I did it. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to start going back to my old habits, because I figured out what happened here. I always have, like, I've been used to having. I started ever since I bought a Keurig machine. It's very easy now to make coffee with the K-Pods than having it with than putting the brew coffee in. And so I started coming out with 3 cups of coffee a day. And what I realized was I'm using sugar, and I'm using 3 teaspoons in each cup of coffee that I'm having, and that's 3 teaspoons for each cup of coffee. Okay, that's a lot. That's 8 teaspoons of sugar a day. Okay, and that adds up. And so that's number one. Then you have all the fatty stuff that all the sweet stuff you're having, which is a lot of soda. And I realize that Coke has 3 different types of sugar in them, which I have no idea why. But you have corn syrup, sugar, and high fructose, which is also bad. And so when you're drinking, and then I've been drinking also a lot of Snapples, Arizonas, Gatorades, and all this stuff. And it's all, see, and the funny part about this whole thing is that my ex girlfriend, the narcissist, who I did a podcast about a while back, told me that I shouldn't have all these sugars because it's not good for you. And I scoffed it off. Okay, granted, she's on the keto diet and everything. So, and she doesn't drink any soda. And then I realized when she's drinking her alcohol, she's having red wine, white wine, uh, and then when we go out, it's usually margarita. But when we're out, like not at a restaurant, she's having tequila soda. And I realized that based on what I've been doing in my research, tequila soda is actually pretty good for you. And I always wondered why people were taking their water with alcohol, because that takes away the fun of trying to get drunk or wasted. And now I'm realizing that you want the water because it's a lot safer to do. And so I did have wine the other night. You know, for the first time, I had some Malbec, and I did drink a sip of the wine, and I tasted it. And then I threw water into the wine, which diluted the wine, and it tasted more like colored water, which takes away most of the purpose of drinking wine. Um, but again, I'm very lucky that I didn't have alcohol liver disease. And I'm very lucky that I was at low risk and that I was detected early. So I I beg with you guys to go now. Am I to get yourself checked out to make sure you guys are okay, because the liver is actually a needed.
Total 11.29 miles.
Whoops,
1
sorry.
hour 6 minutes 57 seconds. Steps 3,021 steps.
Um, um, Sorry about that. Because the liver is a main function of your body. Because without the liver, you can't really function anywhere. And the liver appear. And what I've been learning is that the liver works the most out of everything else in the body, and that the liver, and the reason why I was able to lose weight easily was because once the fat got released from that liver, once I started eating healthy, all that fat disappeared from the liver, which means the liver was able to reverse itself to a normal state, which means once the fat isn't stored anymore, the body can lose weight because it's not stuck in limbo. So I've been eating more healthier. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to go back to my old ways. It just means that I can now eat regular food, but in moderation. I found out, and this is a good example for a lot of people, is that recently I found out that you can have zero sugar soda. And I did that yesterday. For the first time in weeks, or in a month, I should say, I had soda. And it was zero sugar. It was zero sugar Dr. Pepper, zero sugar Coke. No, zero sugar Sprite, but there was no carbonation in there, so it was basically water. And then I had Fresca. But Fresca was always good because Fresca is a diet soda that doesn't have anything in it. Fresca is basically grapefruit and half orange. So Fresca, but I'm learning to eat healthier now, but I'm now using Gemini also, um, which again works for me. Many people might not go with an AI, but you have to understand that AI is still posting me the sources. It still puts me the sources, even though some of it might be outdated, but it's still without Gemini, which is the Android for Google. I wouldn't know what I'm doing. I really wouldn't. And again, if you want to use ChatGPT, good for you. If you want to use, Grok, okay. What works for you is okay. I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that I haven't cheated, but I learned more about myself as a person, meaning that if it's important, I can do it. It takes a lot of willpower. It's not easy. And believe me, when you're eating out by other people's houses, it's not easy to tell them, oh, what is this made with? Because I can't have this, I can't have that, and it's very, very difficult to do that. And it's very hard to figure out portion control because I always eat. I'm big. My eyes are bigger than my stomach, which means I'll take more than I can have and leave half of it over. So it's very hard to do portion control. And I've had to adjust and I've had to learn that. And I have to thank my mother for this because, and she's taking credit for this helping. And maybe she had a role to play in it or not, but whatever. She had to adapt with me and she would ask me, can you have this? Can you have that? And it's very hard for her, but because it's more expensive. But she can learn, but she could lose her health. She can lose weight too. Um, so I kind of learned better about myself, and I also learned that we in America, I realized now why America is the most obese country in the world because we love our food, and you know what? Fast food is the worst because they fry everything in oil and a fat oil, not even the good oil, like the fatty oil, and it's massive amounts of it too. And in Europe, they have the same foods as we do, but they make it differently. That's why if you go to Europe, you see a lot of skinny people. And I'm not knocking, and to be fair, to be clear, I'm not knocking anybody that's fat, and I'm not knocking everybody that's overweight. I'm stating an actual fact here. And if anybody got insulted or offended by this, I apologize. That was not my intention. I just don't have a better way of describing it. But it's a fact, and studies have shown that America is an obese country because we eat fatty and fried, and that's a fact. Where in Europe they eat the same foods as we do, but it's cooked way differently, and that's just the mentality of that. That's just the way it is, and we can control what we eat. Now, I'm now on Friday. I had like my first. I finally had my hamantashen that I couldn't have on Purim, which is a Jewish Halloween, and The day after that, I bought a little breakfast snack for myself, which was a little cinnamon roll with jelly in the middle, or grape jelly in the middle, what it was. Ironically, when I was going to the dentist, but I had that, and for me, that that was a treat. And I realize now I'm not craving all of that, and I'm drinking more tea than I used to. I mean, tea has always been good for you. Um, Tea has always been good for you. But now I'm very selective in the teas I'm drinking. Like yesterday, I had spearmint tea with xylitol sugar, which I would never have taken. I normally would go for either honey or regular sugar or even brown sugar. Now I go to Dunkin' Donuts and I ask for 2% milk, and I take the Splenda instead of the regular sugar. So, so I've learned that I could eat healthy and still eat junk food as long as I do it in moderation. But now I use Gemini to log everything that I'm eating, because Gemini will post all the how much I had, what's allowed, and the daily limit in terms of fiber and protein. Like I never used to eat Quest bars, and now I'm eating Quest bars like there's no tomorrow, and and they all taste the same, but they're not that bad. And I'm eating protein bars, and the ones I have now are lemon, and they're good. They're expensive, but they're good. And I'm discovering that I can eat pistachios a lot more, and I'm eating pistachios a lot more. That I never used to eat a lot of pistachios. Um, so I'm changing my habit of eating. And there's a thing here where people eat healthy and they don't, but and that's all they'll eat. Like I've never had a smoothie before, and my mother has an aide, and she decided to buy me, a smoothie machine, and she told me to have some smoothies. I've never had a smoothie until a week ago. I've never had a smoothie in my life, and now I'm eating these smoothies, and now she's making me these smoothies, and they're horrible because it's like blended celery, cucumbers, whatever, or whatever greens, or kayo, whatever. I never heard of a kayo before, whatever. And I'm eating this now, and it's just disgusting. But I realize I have to make sacrifices if I want to live, and if I want to enjoy my life, because if I had, like, say, cirrhosis of the liver or alcohol poisoning, I probably wouldn't be here right now talking to you. So this is my update to you, and I just want to tell you your health is important, and now the summer is coming soon. You know, like my friend this morning, I was happy to have met him at Dunkin', and he ordered a mocha iced coffee with whipped cream, and I took a picture of that, sent it to Gemini, and she was giving me the amount of sugar that was in there, and everything. And I'm like, okay, but what about if you have it like once in a while on a hot summer day, which makes sense because you're losing a lot of energy, even if you're just standing still. And so once in a while, you know, you can have that. But here's the other thing. My liver is resilient now because it's gotten to the fact that it got used to what I'm eating. It adapted to my diet, and now it's more resilient to what I can have. That doesn't mean I should go back overboard and eat. It just means that I'm healthy. I'm eating the right foods. I'm eating the right nutritional foods. But now it's okay to have junk food as long as you have it in moderation with everything else. Can I have sugar? Yes, but put it down to 1 teaspoon a day. Can I have can I eat? Can I eat? Do I have to be restricted with what I'm eating now in terms of going to in terms of dinner? Not necessarily, no. Like I just now started eating chicken with the skin again because when I was waiting for my liver, I had to take the skin off. I had, you know, uh, I did cut out the deli roll yesterday, and then the fried chicken, which to me cutting out deli roll is a big thing because I love deli. So it's a lot of willpower. And I'm learning about food, and I've learned more about myself, and I've become better at adapting to what I have to do. It's like, how do we adapt technology? We all have to adapt technology, right? Because with new technology, with new technology, there is we have to adopt. When society changes, we have to adopt, right? When there are new trends, we try to adapt to the new trends to fit in, right? So I have to adapt to a new lifestyle of eating, and I lost weight, which meant I was doing something right. I didn't think I can do it. I'm proud of myself for doing it, and I recommend everybody that's listening to this to actually go and get themselves checked. It's a good thing that day. And the only way this happened was because I was in the neighborhood one day, and I decided to go visit my doctor because I wanted to ask a question about something. And while I was there, they said, you're due for a physical. And so that's basically how this happened. And so if I had not gone to the physical, now would they have called me? Possibly they would have called me. But again, I don't know if they would or not. They might have. But what would have happened if they didn't catch the liver fatty disease in time? And I just kept eating and eating and eating to the point where it got that it wasn't low risk, it was a high risk, and I couldn't reverse it no matter how much I tried. So sometimes you just do things by instinct, and it doesn't always work. But in this case, I'm happy I went to the doctor. I'm happy that my doctor just said go on a diet. He never said specified which one. So I actually did the research on that, and I said what's the best diet for liver fatty disease, and it said the Mediterranean diet, which is basically eating a lot of greens and stuff like that. And so that's what I did, and it worked. And I switched my pasta to whole wheat pasta, but not enriched or in the white. I'm eating whole wheat bread now. I'm drinking more water. Um, have you you know as I record this, I'm eating whole wheat bread with coffee, iced coffee, um, grapes now, red grapes, and apparently red wine is good for you because it has the same antioxidants as red grapes, which is resveratrol or something onto that. And so that's that. So that's my update for you. Um, that's my update for you. So I'm in a good place right now on my food, and also stress does play some role in that too. So the idea is not to get stressed, and you're and I don't mean and I when I say stress, I mean physically, but also something called liver stress. The liver is getting too stressed that it has to work harder when it's got fat because when it's built up with fat, it's got no place to store new fat or to process that fat, and so it just builds up and stays in the fat that's already sitting in the liver, which is where people become overweight and you know to the point where they need liposuction. Um, so there's that. So I'm healthy. I take good care of I've always taken good care of myself, but now I have to realize that my eating habits have to change, and I have to be more conscious of what I'm eating. That doesn't mean I can't stop living life, and that doesn't mean I can't have a cold cut wrap every now and then, or a piece of cake every now and then. But I'd have to have it less frequently than I normally would. And I have to have it, and I have to have maybe one piece of cake now, or one piece of or cookie, not both. So things like that. So I have to make these changes because the next time this happens, I may not be so lucky. I may not. But also, they say your liver is more resilient now, which means it can probably handle it much better now because it's gotten used to the diet change. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But that's my update for you, and I wanted to bring it to your attention because if I can bring awareness to it to help other people, then I've done my job. And I wish everybody who does this good luck. And I'd like to hear about your progress as well and how you're dealing with it. And maybe we can work together and I can give you pointers. So good luck and thanks for listening.